Here I want to introduce you to a very good multimeter, whose brand is Victor, which is a very, very famous multimeter. As we can see, the multimeter has 4 ports. One is a COM port, which the black probe usually connects to the COM port like this. And there is another port that has the symbol of ohm, hertz, and diode on it, which the red probe also connects to that port as standard, and this is how you can use the multimeter. There are 2 ports here, one of which is written as we wrote, and the other is a decimal, which we wrote about measuring amperes. But in milliamperes and decimals here, it means that it can measure up to 10 amperes. The COM port and the COM sim or COM prop, which is black, are fixed, but if, for example, you want to measure amperes, you have to remove the red prop and connect it to the port. A means 10, which can measure 10 amperes for you. Be careful. When you want to measure more than 1 ampere, you should never use this port. That is, connect the probe to us, otherwise the multimeter will be damaged. But if you want to measure less than a milliampere, you can use us, and in this way connect the probe to our port or milliampere. So let's go to its capabilities and see what this multimeter can measure. As you can see, it has a millivolt, which is marked with its own symbol. It has an AC voltage measurement that can measure up to 1000 volts AC. It can measure DC voltage up to 700 volts DC, and it also has a measurement that is in the form of an auto turn. You can measure diodes and buzzer tests with it. It has a capacitor test. It has a frequency test that can measure up to 30 kilohertz for you. Only here can you mess with the temperature. You can measure HFE transistors. You can measure microamps, milliamps, and amps, so if you want to measure milliamps, for example, you should set the selector to milliamps. If you want microamps, you should set it to microamps, and finally, if you want to measure amps, the selector should be on amps. Well, this multimeter has backlight, meaning it has a background light. By holding the Euclid hold button, you can see that the backlight turns on and allows you to use it easily, even in low light environments. If you put the multimeter on the ohm test, for example, you will see that it selects the megaohm range as a priority, but it can measure up to several megaohms from the ohm range for you. Now, let's be more precise without going into details. It's better to refer to your manual, but if you want to limit the measurement in ohms, you can click on the cold range. Here, you will see that you have to select ohms, if your measuring unit is only ohms. If you want kilo ohms, go to kilo ohms. If it's mega ohms, then go to mega ohms like this. And well, it has very good capabilities. This multimeter also has a thermometer that measures the temperature for you. To use the thermometer, you just need to disconnect the adapter like this. Then connect the black side to the COM port and the red side to the port you see here. That is, to the first port that has the thermometer symbol on it, by placing a selector on top of that T. CF, which stands for Celsius and Fahrenheit, can show you the temperature, which you can choose again with the selector. So here you see that it is currently showing the temperature at 30 degrees, and if I, on the sensor with my hand like this, the temperature will go higher, and it will show me a higher temperature, which is also based on Celsius. I see you all. So you can measure the temperature of the environment or a specific part with this multimeter. Every time the temperature gauge on the multimeter is set up, it is so that you can measure the temperature of parts such as ICS. And just like that, for example, I want to measure the temperature of the cigarette lighter. I turn on the cigarette lighter so that it doesn't get hot. And you can see the ambient temperature on the multimeter. Now that it's inside, I'll connect the thermometer to the cigarette lighter. And you can see that the temperature rises immediately. You can use this method to measure parts of the circuit that we don't have access to, such as inside the chips, between the heatsink and the chip, and a very important part of electronic circuits. To buy this multimeter, I have put the link at the bottom of the video description section.